Welcome to Sir Lancelot's Real Estate Roundtable, your guide to mastering the realm of real estate in Central East Florida. I am Sir Lancelot Lenard, ready to uncover the secrets of seller strategies, home staging, mortgage mastery, and more. From Daytona Beach to Cocoa Beach, Lake County to St. Augustine, join me as we navigate the intricacies of real estate. As the leader of the Sir Lancelot Group at Florida Homes Realty and Mortgage, I'm here to arm you with knowledge and innovation, whether you're a seasoned homeowner or a first-time buyer, unveiling the kingdom of real estate, one roundtable at a time. Mallorie Butler, a dedicated mortgage loan originator, transitioned from relationship banker to the mortgage lending industry when the pandemic struck and schools and daycares closed. Quickly realizing her passion and capability beyond being a stay-at-home mom, Mallorie completed online schooling and has now been thriving in the mortgage industry for over 4 years. Welcome, Mallorie. I welcome you to the show. This is the Real Estate Roundtable with Sir Lancelot Lenard. Let's get started.
All right.
So, Mallorie, can you share with us how you and Brandon first got started in the mortgage lending industry?
So as you said, the pandemic hit and I had to step away from the banking side as school was closed and the daycare shut down. So as the mom, I decided to, well, I didn't decide, I had to step away and stay home. I realized after about 2 days in that I am not a stay-at-home mother. So I ended up going to school online for mortgage as I was already leaning towards that as a long-term goal. So I just thought, you know what, let's do it. So I went to school and passed my test with flying colors the first time around and just went head in. So it's been absolutely amazing these past 4 years. And I ended up bringing on Brandon, my husband, 2 years ago to make a team, Your Mortgage Butlers. And it's been absolutely great.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are really passionate about everything you do. I see you guys in the gym every morning, banging it out, working out. You got 2 kids, you're juggling life. I see you guys on the boat on the weekends. You guys are socializing, running around like a superpower couple you guys are, you know? I really love seeing that and the passion and everything you guys got going on for your business and your family and everything. I think it's amazing. And how old are your kids, by the way?
Ava just turned 7 last week and Maylee just turned 10 last week. So we are pretty busy with sports and all the things. So it's really nice that we have that husband and wife couple to kind of navigate that work-life balance. So
talk to me a little bit about that. So tell me, how does that work out for you guys? What do you guys do? How do you manage that?
So the great thing is I like, buying a home is one of the biggest things that you can possibly do. I'm such a believer in that. And it can be a process. It can be emotional, stressful, especially if you're moving out of state or you're a first-time home buyer where it's not your first purchase. It can be a lot. So if you have a lender who works your standard, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, and they completely shut you out, that's not going to work for a lot of buyers who have a lot of anxiety or questions during the process. So the great thing about having a husband and wife team is we are available 7 days a week. So when one of us has to chase the kid around or go pick up kids or make dinner, the other one can stay available to answer the calls, answer the emails, catch up on work, answer agents and clients, and be there for anyone who may need us. So
yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I think you guys are really good. And I can attest to this. They do pick up on the weekends and they do applications at 8, 7 p.m. on a Saturday or Sunday night. So yeah, definitely your power couple duo there. Always ready to text back and ready, even if they're on the boat. So that's the fun part about it. Yeah. And what sets you guys apart from other guys in the lending or girls from the lending industry? What is your niche? What do you specialize on? What's your thing? What's the good thing?
So I wouldn't say I specialize in anything because I am very well-rounded. I try to stay knowledgeable in all the different products, first time, third time, investors, vacation homes. I try to make sure that I know everything. And if I don't, I'm very quick to find the answer. But I truly love first-time home buyers. And the thing with that is they just don't know. They don't know the process. They don't teach that in school. So I feel like I can give them all the details and such in a way that they're going to understand. versus when I first bought my home, that mortgage loan officer did not do a very good job at explaining anything. And I was clueless as to what was going on or what the terminology even meant that they were spitting out to me, kind of like doctors, when you go to a doctor and they're like, saying all these crazy medical terms. You're like, what are you saying right
What are you talking about? Hey, what does that mean?
now?
Mortgage?
Yeah.
What is a mortgage?
Yeah.
Mortgagee, mortgagor, you talk a little bit back and forth. They're like, oh my God, this is all
What does
arms
this
and
even
no arms.
mean?
And how about legs? Can we do some legs too, or just arms? What are we doing?
Right.
I know I had the same experience too when I first got into the business and I was learning about mortgages. It was like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's mortgage insurance? Like a lot of first-time home buyers will come to me and they'll be like, I don't have 20% down. You know how hard it is to save money. I only have $2,000 in my bank account. And I agree with them. It is so hard to save right now, just because, especially those first-time home buyers, they don't have a home to sell where they're making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. They're coming in at a time where everything is so expensive, everything, milk and gas and all the things. So I know it is extremely hard for people to save money. But the great thing is there are so many great programs right now for first-time home buyers, so many. And a lot of my first-time home buyers don't realize they don't need that 20%. And there's assistance programs where they actually bring close to zero at the closing table.
So I think we should elaborate a little bit on this, like Florida specific programs that you could talk about. I know you have a few up your sleeve that you like to throw around and use for these special people, let me hear what you got going on.
So I would say by far, the Florida housing program is the best of the best. So Florida, good old state of Florida, has created a Florida housing program for first-time home buyers and for veterans where they don't have to meet that first-time home buyer regulation. So they have two of my favorites, which is the bond and the hometown heroes. The bond program is a standard 10 grand. So they don't care whether you're buying a home at 200, 300, 400,000, you're going to get 10 grand. They don't care. There's obviously some credit score regulations rules that you have to be at least a 640 for both programs. And there are income limits depending on county. So it's income based through the household. So husband, wife would put their income together. So they have to realize that, but they are pretty high actually. They're in that 80, 90, all the way up to the 120 for income limit. So it's not too bad.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Can you double up on these programs or you can only use one at a time?
You can only use one. And then Hometown Heroes is obviously the new, great, everyone loves it program. Yeah. But the thing is they put $100 million into this Hometown Heroes program the first time. It was gone in 6 months. Gone. So it goes to show you how many first-time home buyers need this money. But the great thing is it's coming back July 1st. Thank heavens. It's been gone for 6-7 months. So there's a lot of people that are waiting on that. And what it is, it's 5% of the loan amount. So on a sale, let's just say loan amount 300,000, you're either going to get the 10 through the bond, or if you do the Hometown Heroes, you're getting $15,000. It's a pretty big difference, 5 grand. So
yeah, and then you got a good agent negotiating on your behalf and get a couple percents from the seller, his concessions as well. And you pretty much go almost into a house without any money. That's like pretty good.
That's absolutely accurate. And a lot of the people that do the program will do that. They'll get the seller credits and they will walk into the closing with just their driver's license and a smile.
Exactly. That is so awesome, isn't it? I had a question about this Hometown Heroes. Is it only for heroes or is it for everybody? Can you elaborate?
No, so when they first launched it, it was only for occupations like nurses and teachers and police and firefighters, hometown heroes. But they took that away and they brought it back shortly after it launched, and they opened it up to any first-time home buyer or veteran, doesn't have to be a first-time home buyer, in the state of Florida that is also employed by the state of Florida. So you can't have a first-time home buyer that works remotely from an employer in New York. Can't happen.
So that is a really good key factor. So you have to be a Floridian and you have to work in Florida for a Floridian company in order to qualify for something like this. It basically keeps the money inside our state. Yes, for our people, What a wonderful state.
They're smart. They're smart.
Well, this is the thing. We have 1,200 and I think 50 people a day moving to Florida. It's a big amount of people, because we have all these amazing programs for our peeps. And it's been getting harder and harder. Insurance is going up, taxes are going up. We got a lot of buyers coming from different states that selling their more expensive homes and coming here to get their so-called cheaper homes, but now that's getting up there too. So these programs are helping our people. I know we're working with a client right now that is applying for one of these programs. So definitely a good thing for our people. First-time home buyers, let's go. You guys need your houses. How do you approach guiding these first-time home buyers through the process? Tell me a little bit about that. And what's your process as well for application?
So I would say that with all the new technology in today's world, they've simplified the process from the normal. So it used to be where you go into an office, you schedule a time and you bring all those documents in a folder and you sit there and you just sit forever while they do your application and they ask you all the questions, take hours. Now it is super, super simple. So what ends up happening is you get a text message with a link or website, whichever you prefer, and you can do everything from your fingertips on your phone. It takes 10 minutes to apply nowadays, super simple. What's your name? Where do you live? Where do you work? Simple questions like that. And then at the end, it asks you for that supporting documentation. So for example, you say you work at Wawa's and you work 40 hours a week and you make $20 an hour. At that point, at the end, they're going to ask you for your 30-day pay stub. So for me, that allows me to see if what you said on your application actually matches the supporting documentation that you're giving me. So once I get that application, I will look at everything, full file review, meaning I'm going to run credit. I'm going to look at your debts. I'm going to look at what you've got going on as far as the income. I'm going to calculate that income based off of government guidelines, not what you're saying. 'Cause let's be real, we all have to go off those guidelines. And then I'm going to give you a solid pre-approval. When I pre-approve, I want to make sure that the loan is going to go through. So as long as they don't make any changes they don't tell me about, my pre-approval is pretty freaking solid.
What kind of changes are you talking about? Tell me.
Oh man. So I've actually had people buy a car. Don't buy a car in the middle of your process. I have had people that like day before closing, like you couldn't wait, where they'll buy a car that will be $400 or $500 more than the car that they already had. So now that gets dinged. Do we rerun your credit? No. Do we monitor it? Absolutely. So if you take out new debt, we get dinged immediately. Ding, ding, ding. Something's happening with their credit. And at that point, we figure it out. So until you sign on that dotted line, do not make any changes unless you talk to your lender beforehand and they can adjust it accordingly in the file and say, oh yeah, you can make that decision. Totally, totally fine, which has happened before. So
did I tell you about my diamond ring story?
No.
So I had a buyer, we were working on him. It was right around when pandemic started. So all the banks started cracking down and raising their minimum to 620 credit score, et cetera, et cetera. There was one lender in the whole country that was still doing 580. So he was around 580. We got him pre-approved. We negotiated a deal, everything. And about a week before we closed, he went out and bought his girlfriend a diamond ring on a credit card. And we're like, now you can't buy a house. And he's all like nasty with us and everything afterwards. It was insane. I'm like, we told you previously, it's the second deal we're going through. The first one he backed out of. And I'm like, you managed to back out of a deal, man. With a 580 credit score, barely being scraping the surface,
you don't know. Can you live in your car?
I got his escrow back and everything. I was like, dude, man, I did everything I could for you. And then you go out and buy a diamond ring just before closing instead of listening to us and just going through with it until we close.
You can't wait a couple days. It's not a very long process. Once you find that home and you sign on the dotted line, you can close 2-3 weeks. The standard is 30. You can't wait.
Can you wait a little bit, like a week? What do you think? She's going to run away? You can't propose in a week to your new house? Like, seriously. But yeah, that was my story about this. I did not have it happen since then. That was about 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago. Yeah, but it has not happened since. And I don't even, because I make sure that they knew. Me too, and you too, we both do. So what are some key factors that first-time homebuyers should consider when choosing a mortgage lender? Please talk to me about it.
Stay away from online lenders. When you do that, a lot of people don't realize, we'll say it, Rocket Mortgage. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, you gotta say it out loud.
Yeah, but the thing is that all these online lenders, they're not pre-approving you. They're pre-qualifying you. And you don't know who is looking at your file. It could be someone in a totally different state. I mean, you don't know. You don't have a name and a face to the person that's doing it. But the biggest thing with that is, and if anything, if any lender, even local, is giving you a pre-qualification versus a pre-approval, that pre-qualification means based off of what you're telling me, you would be pre-approved for this. But I will tell you, most buyers do not understand how to calculate the income correctly and all that jazz. And they always say, oh, my credit could be 700. Well, you pull it and it's 660. That is totally different than what you're saying, because mortgage pull is a totally different algorithm than what you see on things like Credit Karma. So yes, it's a good indicator of what your credit would be around, but until you get an actual mortgage pull, you really truly don't know your mortgage FICO credit score. So that's the one thing. Those pre-qualifications are based off of what you're telling me, and that pre-approval is, hey, I did a full file review, I've calculated the income, I've ran the credit, reviewed the file, and I'm confident. So make sure that you're getting a pre-approval, not a pre-qualification.
Yeah, it is super important. I think you've elaborated far enough on the pre-approval thing, because that is the key in real estate. I have this one little short saying that I always like to say to my people on the phone when I'm having the initial conversation, and they're hesitant about getting a pre-approval because I don't want my credit pulled and I don't want it to go down. It's like, if you're having that issue, then you probably shouldn't be looking at buying a house. Because if you're having the issue that if you get one pull, you get under the 580 mark to get qualified, then I don't think you're in the right shoes to buy a house. But getting pre-approved is the same thing. And especially with today's prices going to the market, okay? You go to the market, you have to look at what you have in your wallet. Do I have $100, $200? What do I have in my wallet? And what can I shop for according to what I have in my wallet? It's the same thing. Getting pre-approved, you'll know your limit. This is my limit. That's the max I can afford. So I shouldn't be looking at houses $40,000, $50,000, $100,000 more than what my limit is. And that's why pre-approval is super important, because I'll take you out. We'll go look at a house and it's like, oh, this is an amazing house. I love this house. Lancelot, can we buy this house? Of course we could buy this house. Let's get you pre-approved. And then she comes in, or he comes in, or they come in together, and they're like, I'm only qualified for a 250. I'm not qualified for 350, but that house is 350. We love that house. I'm like, great. We should have done the pre-approval prior. We looked at that house, because now your heart is breaking. And I'm at fault because I'm the agent. And I'm like, okay, bad agent.
Right.
You can't get it for us. I'm like, I can't fix your financials for you guys, but I can definitely guide you in the right direction.
Yeah, you need that pre-approval. It knows your buying power. And that pre-approval is valid for 90 days. And the reason why it's valid for 90 days is because your credit report is valid for 120. So it takes that standard 30 days to close a loan. So as long as you find a home within that 90-day mark, we won't need to rerun your credit. So it is what it is. But if you go beyond that, it is really simple to get pre-approved. You don't have to fill out another application, redo all those things. It's just something like a click of a button where you just kind of refresh everything. So it's no big deal, just making sure there's no changes in income and credit and whatnot.
So let's talk about some mistakes first-time homebuyers should try to avoid. I know that pre-qual instead of pre-approval is one, because we just learned about that, Don't buy a car in the middle of a transaction. That's another one we just talked about. Anything else that you could talk about?
Recently, I've had a lot of people just switching jobs frequently. Figure it out.
Yeah.
I have one person that's like, they have had 7 jobs in 1 year. And I'm like, what is happening? The thing is a lot of people will say, well, I moved this job or this job or this job because they're going to pay me better. Sometimes that works, right? Sometimes you can get an offer letter, and if they're stating, I'm going to make X amount at 40 hours a week, or I'm going to make a salary of this, great. That's perfect. We can use that income. But some people will say, oh, I got a job working commission. I'm going to make a ton of commission selling cars.
Commission-based.
Well, okay. That's fine, but we can't use that. How do we know what you're going to be making actually? Yeah, they can estimate it, but there's nothing on paper to average that out. So if you do that and you move those jobs, you're no longer pre-approved because now you're variable income. So you have to have a good history of that for at least a year, depending on the loan product. But, you know, I've had people say that, oh, I left this shop because I make so much more money, but you went from hourly to now commission.
Yeah.
So
From fixed paycheck to commission-based job, like a 1099 almost, you're looking at a 2-year tax return compared to a 3-month pay stubs. No, like you need 3 months of solid work history of a
you do
W-2
not need
job.
3 months. No. So a lot of companies will have that overlay to protect them as a company. But the good old government guidelines, the conventional guidelines, the FHA guidelines, you know, those standard guidelines, no, you can use an offer letter. And as long as you start within a certain day of closing, for example, let's just say 60 days, then you can actually use that offer letter. And as long as no contingencies are still lingering and all contingencies have been met, like drug test, things like that, as long as that employer says, yep, they're good, they start on X date, we can actually use that income. So that is huge for people moving from out of state. They do not realize that they can get an offer letter and we can use that immediately before they even start the job. That is exactly how Brandon got down here. You know, my job kind of goes wherever, but Brandon on the other side, he had to get an offer letter and we were able to use that without him actually starting. So
that is awesome. I think this is great information. One more last question here. Where do you think the mortgage market is going in the near future? What do you think? What are we looking forward to? Are we seeing some rate cuts finally, or what's going to happen? What is your opinion?
So I feel like, as you know, obviously not getting political by any means, but it is election year. So hoping that as we move forward to election time, we'll start to see a dip. If I don't know, they're going up, down, and sideways. So who knows what's going to happen? You look at the predictions and sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong, just like the good old weathermen. So you just, you truly don't know what's going to happen, but they are taking a dip, which is nice. But I am seeing a lot of unique programs coming out. Like we just launched a cash buyer program called Dream Key, to where this company will end up buying the house cash. So your buyer is now a cash buyer. And then once that buyer's home sells that they were going to sell, so they don't have a contingency, they actually buy the home back from them later on, which is really nice. So you see those unique programs coming out. You have your assistance programs all the time, but you're also seeing some different ones coming out for ones that aren't first-time home buyers. So a lot of people who may have owned a home and sold it in 2022 or what have you, those people now can get some assistance programs where there's no like income limits or first-time home buyer limits or anything like that. So you see a lot of those coming into play. But the main thing here, I truly believe it is a perfect time for a first-time home buyer. It's a great market for them to be in. They can use the assistance, bring no money down. Think about when you do a rental. I mean, these rent, I just have one, $2,500 they pay in rent every month, $2,500. Wow. And when they signed up, they had to pay first and last month's rent and a security deposit. How'd they come up with that money? So if you're
$500, you can almost buy a house with that much money, you know?
So I actually have them pre-approved with a down payment assistance program right now, where I have it set to where they're bringing absolutely nothing to the table. So now instead of wasting, what is that? $2,500 a month, $30,000 a year, 30 grand, not including utilities or anything, just giving that to the landlord. They're throwing that away every year versus putting that towards a mortgage that, let's be real, homes appreciate. Just like hourly wages. Hourly wages started down here, and every year they continue to rise. Well, that's the same with house prices. As the cost of living and everything goes up, so are house prices. So I don't see them coming down. I don't even think it's going to even come close to that. As rates go down, yes, the market will go up, and then it will kind of level out and then just keep doing it. It's just how it works. So
yeah, the housing market has been a stable 3% growth for the past 100 years, except for the last couple of years where it jumped by 30%. Due to inflation,
especially in Florida.
Yeah, especially in Florida because of all the people coming here.
Yeah,
so we're definitely feeling that and that effect of the whole shift in the market, so called. Although me as a realtor, I've been realizing a lot more negotiation power to the buyers recently,
Yes.
especially with houses sitting on the market for a minute or two. You could get away with a lot. You know, you can
Yeah.
ask for concessions, you can ask for repairs that we didn't have in the last few years. So it's kind of getting back to normal, which feels good. You know,
It does feel good. Because
I just,
do you remember how long have I lived here? 3 years ago. Three
yeah,
years ago, where we were in the market where you were asked, I mean, I had people that offered on 20, 30 homes and just deny, deny, deny.
yeah,
And the people that were getting them accepted were people that were paying 30, 40, 50, $60,000 over asking.
yeah,
And if it didn't appraise, they were doing what's
cash out
called
of
an
pocket.
appraisal gap.
Yeah, yeah.
So an appraiser saying, oh, the house is only worth X, but they're under contract for Y. They're paying the different. It's insane. They were pulling out of their 401ks. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I've had a few clients like that myself. I think the highest we've gone though was like 30,000 over, 30,000 over ask. And we got pretty lucky because it appraised, I think it was almost like $5,000 difference
Yeah.
from
So
the
they just had to
contract
pay
price. So it
$5,000.
wasn't too much out of pocket money.
Yeah.
And we, you know, I mean, I got away with a lot of, because I could say got away with murder because I had almost every single client that called me and I worked with got a house.
Yeah.
Like I didn't have people that didn't get a house. And I know
That's
that a lot of other
good.
agents that were suffering, like you said, 20, 30 offers and they didn't get accepted. I
No.
got my deals accepted. That's a good thing to work with realtors that know other realtors.
No, no other realtors, no
No
if there's
kidding.
a good offer. There's ways you can make that good offer. And the only ones I see are the ones that got accepted. So I was seeing a lot of different, things that you guys, little sneaky things you guys are doing to get those offers accepted.
The backdoor deals. The thing is that if you know each other, you help each other.
Yeah.
And the more you're out there, the more people you meet, the more people you know. And this is another thing that us as realtors bring as value to the clients. It's like client can go call the listing agent and try to make an offer. But if there's another agent involved with another person and the two agents know each other, and like, okay, I could try to work with those buyers that I have no clue about. They could be blowing smoke out of their ears and they could not be saying anything legit. But I know that agent always gets the deal done.
Yeah.
You know, that agent I can trust. I've done multiple deals with him. He's a trustworthy agent that gets the deal done. So who am I going to go with? And I had this happen this year on a multifamily, a triplex. We had the agent and I clicked like right away. EXP agent, I'm FHRM, but we clicked right away.
Yeah.
And there was 8 offers on the table for the multifamily, 150 grand over ask. Grand over ask. Ours was maybe a few thousand over ask. They still went with us because of the confidence I showed that we could get the deal done as long as the house has no issues. And she was totally okay with that because she was an agent that owned the house too. So she was like, yeah, I'd rather work with you. It seems like you know what you're doing. Your lender knows what they're doing. It was a whole, she called everybody and made sure all the T's are dotted, all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed about the whole deal. And at the end, we didn't end up buying it because we went and did an inspection on the property and there were some issues that my seller didn't want to take on. But she understood that too. It's like, thank you very much for letting me know. It's like, look, I would love to share. Here's the info. That's it. Well, Mallorie.
It's good to know people. That's why you got it. When you pick your realtor and your lender team, you got to make sure they know people in the community. I mean, you do. That's why you want local. And if you have as a buyer, if you put in an offer and you're with an online lender, the likelihood of that seller accepting that not high, because they want to know that selling agent is going to coach them and say, hey, this is an online lender. Just know that it could not be a solid pre-approval, yada, yada, yada. But hey, I know this other offer. I know this agent and this lender, and they both know what they're doing. They get it done. Which are you going to choose? I 100% agree with you. So local.
Local, go local. Exactly. That's what we're for, Plus we help the community out and all that stuff. So thank you very much, Mallorie, for coming on the show today. I really enjoyed our conversation here, and I hope I can have you many more times as a guest because we could talk about mortgages, not just first-time home buyers, but we could talk about conventional, VA, jumbos, all sorts of stuff, ARMs, new construction loans. I know you guys do all of it, and we could definitely go into depth in more of these. Yes. Thank you for coming. It was a pleasure having you.
All right.
Thank you for joining us on Sir Lancelot's Real Estate Roundtable, where we've unveiled the mysteries of real estate together. Remember, in this kingdom of possibilities, every dream home is just a discussion away. I can help your real estate dreams come true. Just call me at 786-449-7518. Until our next roundtable, may your ventures be prosperous and your homes be filled with love and joy. Farewell, fellow knights of real estate.